You know that feeling when you're standing right outside the door of a really crowded room, and you can just hear the hum of a dozen different conversations happening inside?
Oh yeah, the pre-party dread.
Exactly. Your hand is resting on the cold doorknob, and suddenly you're hit with this absolute paralyzing wave of anxiety. And it's not just, basic shyness or introversion.
Right, it's heavier than that.
It is. It's this sudden, desperate urge to walk in there and somehow prove that you belong. Like you have to prove right out of the gate that you are worthy of taking up space in that room.
It's so relatable. And there's actually a fascinating biological reason for it. It's a universally human, deeply visceral response.
Really? It's like a biological response.
Yeah, exactly. Because when we stand at that threshold, our brains perceive the social ambiguity on the other side of that door as a literal physical threat.
Wow. So we're essentially going into survival mode at a networking event.
Pretty much. We're experiencing a mild fight or flight response.
Yeah.
And the fight part of that equation manifests as status anxiety.
Okay, status anxiety. I like that term.
Yeah, we feel this overwhelming pressure to step onto the stage, armed with our best anecdotes, ready to pitch ourselves so the tribe doesn't reject us.
Which is so exhausting, and that is exactly what our mission for this deep dive is today. We are going to unpack that exact feeling for you.
We really need to, because it ruins so many potentially great interactions.
It totally does. So we're looking at the anatomy of a great first impression. And more importantly, we're figuring out why our natural knee-jerk instincts usually just, completely sabotage us in those high-stakes moments.
They absolutely do.
Right. We're going to examine why the secret to being memorable actually has absolutely nothing to do with how clever or accomplished or endlessly fascinating we are.
Which honestly should come as a massive relief to anyone listening.
Oh, big time.
Because approaching every single new interaction as if it's some, high-stakes performance evaluation, that is incredibly depleting.
It's no way to live.
No, it's not. So our goal today isn't to look at cold clinical sociological data. We are talking about the cozy, sometimes very messy reality of how people actually relate to one another. The real psychology of human connection.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because I have a slightly embarrassing confession to make here.
Please share. I love these.
Well, when I am in that awkward, trying to impress strangers mode, I do this terrible thing. I will literally stand in a circle of people, only half listening to what anyone is saying.
Because you're in your own head?
Yes. I'm frantically rehearsing a witty line in my head. I'm just waiting for a gap in the conversation, kind of like waiting to jump into a fast-moving game of double Dutch jump rope,
Oh, that is the perfect analogy, the double Dutch anxiety.
Right. And when I finally see an opening, I leap in and drop my clever little line. But then I realize I have completely derailed the moment.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it usually lands with a thud. And everyone just kind of stares at me, waiting for the natural flow to resume. It's the worst feeling.
I guarantee almost everyone listening to this right now has a visceral memory of doing the exact same thing.
I really hope so I don't feel entirely alone here.
You definitely aren't. We do it because we mistakenly believe that showcasing our wit is the price of admission to the group. But this brings us right to the core misconception that drives all of our conversational anxiety.
Which is what, exactly?
Well, our biggest mistake in making a first impression isn't saying the wrong thing. And it's not stumbling over our words either.
So what is the actual mistake?
It is the exhausting belief that we have to be the most interesting person in the room. That is the trap.
The most interesting person. Okay, yeah, that hits home.
Right. The foundational shift we have to make is realizing that real connection doesn't happen when we show off our shine. It happens when we shine a light on someone else.
Show off our shine versus shining a light on someone else. I really love the framing there.
It changes everything. You shift from trying to be interesting to genuinely being interesting.
Okay, but wait. I have to challenge this a little bit.
Go for it.
If I entirely give up on being interesting, won't people just think I'm boring or completely forgettable?
That's the immediate fear, yeah.
Like, if I'm just shining the light on them all the time, how is that a strategy for making me memorable when I just, fade into the wallpaper?
That is the exact fear that keeps us trapped in that anxious performance cycle. But psychologists draw a very clear distinction here. It's the difference between being a passive wallflower and being an active, curious explorer of someone else's experiences.
Oh, an active explorer. Okay, tell me more about how that actually works in practice.
Well, think about a wallflower. A wallflower sits back, contributes nothing, and just hopes not to be noticed. Their energy is entirely withdrawn.
Right, they're just trying to survive the night.
Exactly. An explorer, on the other hand, is highly engaged. When you shine a light on someone else, you aren't fading into the background at all. You are actively directing the energy and the flow of the interaction.
You're steering the ship, essentially.
Yes. And here's where the neuroscience gets really interesting. Human beings are inherently wired to gravitate toward people who make them feel valued, heard, and seen.
Because we all just want to be validated.
Precisely. So
Yeah.
when you are the person facilitating that feeling for them, their brain doesn't register you as boring. It registers you as incredibly charismatic.
Wow. So because they're equating my presence with the positive emotions they're feeling about themselves.
Exactly. Studies actually show that when humans talk about themselves and feel genuinely listened to, it triggers a massive dopamine release.
Like a physical reward in the brain.
Yes, in the brain's reward centers.
Oh.
It's the exact same chemical response as eating a fantastic meal or like receiving money.
That is wild. So by shifting the focus entirely onto them, we're basically handing them a neurochemical reward.
You're essentially giving them a gift.
It's almost like a magic trick. By making the conversation about their experiences, they walk away thinking, wow, what a brilliant conversation. That person is fantastic.
Yep.
Even if I barely offered a single detail about my own life.
Precisely. You become inextricably associated with their dopamine hit.
Okay, I want to take this theory and put it through a stress test. Let's think about the ultimate arena for status anxiety.
Oh, I know where this is going.
The place where the urge to prove our worth is arguably at its absolute peak. The corporate mixer.
Ah, yes. The ultimate testing ground for first impressions. It's like everyone is walking around carrying an invisible clipboard, just grading each other.
Truly, it's terrifying. So here is the scenario for you, the listener. You are at a company mixer. The lighting is terrible. You're awkwardly holding a tiny napkin with a lukewarm appetizer.
A very specific, very accurate picture.
Right. And you're suddenly introduced to a senior colleague from another department. This is someone with influence, someone you desperately want to impress.
High stakes.
Very. So under that kind of pressure, what normally happens?
The instinct for self-preservation immediately kicks in. We feel the fight-or-flight social ambiguity we talked about, and we fall right back into the eager-to-please approach.
What does that look like in action?
Well, a painfully accurate example of this sounds something like, "Hi, I'm Alex. I actually just restructured our entire database system last month, saving us 20% in processing time. I'd love to tell you how we did it."
Oof. I mean, wow.
Right, it's a lot.
If you are reading a resume, saving 20% in processing time is fantastic. That's a great bullet point.
On paper, sure.
But in a casual conversation, that feels exactly like an annoying pop-up ad on a website.
A pop-up ad. That is the perfect analogy. Let's break down why that feels so intrusive.
Yeah, think about why a pop-up ad is so universally hated. It's not just that it's an advertisement.
It's the disruption.
Exactly. It violently hijacks your cognitive bandwidth. You are trying to go about your day, read an article, or in this case, just survive a mixer, and suddenly, bam, this unskippable demand blocks your view.
You have to deal with it immediately.
Right. Your brain has to completely stop what it's doing, process a brand new demand for attention, and figure out how to close it.
That's so true.
So when Alex comes in pitching that database restructure, they are forcing the senior colleague to spend mental energy evaluating a claim they never even asked for.
That is a brilliant breakdown of the cognitive load involved. When Alex comes in with the database pitch, they are fundamentally demanding attention.
The subtext is basically, please validate me.
Exactly. The unspoken subtext is, here's my resume, please validate my existence in this room. And it puts the senior colleague in a terrible position.
Because now they have to do work.
Right. They either have to feign interest, mentally evaluate the validity of the claim, or awkwardly find a way to change the subject. It creates immense social friction.
Okay, so how do we fix Alex? What is the non-pop-up ad version of this exact introduction?
Well, behavioral science suggests a much warmer, significantly more effective alternative.
Let's hear it.
Instead of the pitch, Alex should say something like, "Hi, I'm Alex. I've heard your team has been navigating the new remote work transition so smoothly. How have you been keeping everyone so connected?"
Oh, wow. The relief of that phrasing, it actually breathes.
It really does. And a huge part of this, and we really shouldn't gloss over this, is the delivery. It's the music of the dialogue.
Wait, the music of the dialogue? What do you mean?
I mean, how you speak. The Dale Carnegie approach really emphasizes that words are only half the battle. When Alex gives the pop-up ad pitch, the tone is usually rushed, high-pitched, and anxious.
Right, like an upward inflection at the end of every sentence.
Exactly, which signals his security. But the warmer approach, you deliver that with a deliberate pace. You use a warm, downward-inflecting tone.
So it sounds grounded.
Yes, grounded and confident. And you use strategic pauses to let the question hang in the air safely.
That makes so much sense. So it's not just the words, it's the lack of desperation in the voice.
Exactly. If we look at the internal mechanics here, the psychological dynamic shifts entirely. The first approach demands attention. The second approach offers attention.
It's a complete 180.
By shifting your mindset from, here's my resume, to, I see your value, you are instantly lowering the senior colleague's guard. You are completely removing that cognitive load you mentioned earlier.
Because you aren't asking them to evaluate you anymore. You are actually elevating them to the position of an expert and asking them for their insight.
Exactly. You are inviting them into a comfortable partnership rather than backing them into a corner with a sales pitch.
You're giving them the stage.
You're giving them a safe, flattering space to reflect on the success of their own, like the remote work transition, and share their insight. It builds immediate rapport because it is rooted in psychological safety and genuine curiosity.
That is so powerful. And I can see how that totally diffuses tension. Like, I bet you could even use that exact same tone and curiosity if you were meeting, say, a really hostile or skeptical new client.
Oh, absolutely. If a client is defensive, coming at them with your pitch deck energy just makes them raise their shields higher.
But if you use that downward inflection, that calm curiosity, asking them about the challenges they are facing, you disarm them.
Exactly. You turn an adversary into a collaborator. But, what happens when you strip away the professional safety net altogether?
What do you mean?
Well, it's one thing to pitch yourself at a mixer where everyone kind of expects a little bit of posturing, or with a client.
Yeah.
But it gets so much messier when the stakes are purely personal.
Oh, you mean like social situations?
Yes. Those can actually be the most dangerous minefields.
Yeah.
Because when we just want to be liked as human beings, the urge to perform sneaks in wearing a completely different disguise.
Okay, let's look at our next scenario then. This is a classic social minefield. You are meeting your partner's longtime friend for the very first time.
High stakes in a completely different way.
Oh, absolutely.
You desperately want this person's approval because their opinion matters to your partner. The status anxiety is through the roof.
Exactly. You just want to show that you are fun and worldly and, a great catch.
Right. You want to prove you're worthy of their friend.
So the conversation starts, and the friend mentions they like hiking. A very common trap here is what psychologists refer to as the subtle competition approach.
I cringe just thinking about this one.
Right. You hear the word hiking, and your brain goes, aha, I have data for this. I can prove my worth. And you jump in and say, oh, you love hiking. I actually did the Inca Trail last year. It was intense, but I thrive on extreme challenges.
And instantly you can feel the air get sucked right out of the room.
Okay, but hold on. I need to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Please do.
Because I am definitely guilty of doing things exactly like this, and I've always thought I was doing the right thing.
You thought you were bonding.
Exactly. If they say they love hiking, and I just ask them about it without sharing my own experience, doesn't it turn into an interrogation?
That's a common fear.
Like, at what point am I allowed to share my own passions without it being labeled a competition? Aren't we just bonding over a shared interest?
It's a completely understandable instinct, and that's why it's such a common trap. You think you are building a bridge by showing you belong to the same club.
Right, the hiking club.
But it's all about the rhythm of the conversation and the intent behind the phrasing. Saying, I did the Inca Trail, I thrive on extreme challenges, doesn't actually explore the common ground.
It doesn't.
No, it's a statement that closes the door. You are simply comparing trophies.
Comparing trophies, wow, that hits hard.
It changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it?
It really does, because if I am being brutally honest with myself, in that moment, I'm not really saying I love hiking too, let's connect. The subtext is actually, I do the best hiking, please be impressed by me.
Exactly. The subtext is, my hiking experience is extreme and intense, and I need you to validate my adventurous spirit.
Oh, man. That is so transparent when you put it like that.
It shifts the spotlight aggressively back onto you. And think about the position it puts the friend in.
Right, what are they supposed to say to that?
It forces them to either one-up you by saying, oh yeah, well, I climbed Everest, or shrink back and feel like their local weekend hikes aren't quite good enough to bring up anymore.
So they just feel bad about themselves.
Exactly. Either way, you've created a barrier, not a bond.
It's the pop-up ad all over again, just wearing expensive hiking boots.
That's exactly what it is. It's conversational narcissism. So let's look at the softer, curious approach for this exact moment.
Please, rescue me from my Inca Trail mistake.
Okay, instead of dropping the resume, you lean in, maybe use that softer phrasing and downward inflection. You say, oh, you love hiking. What is it about being out on the trail that keeps you going back?
What is it about being out on the trail that keeps you going back? Man, that is such a beautifully open-ended question.
Isn't it?
It doesn't ask for a list of trails they've completed. It asks for a feeling.
And look at the profound difference it makes in the room. By asking that, you're exploring their psychology instead of bragging about your own itinerary.
You're just letting them shine.
You've handed them the floor on a silver platter. You are essentially looking them in the eye and saying, tell me what brings you joy.
Which, if we're being honest, is such a rare and beautiful thing to be asked.
It really is.
In our fast-paced world, when was the last time someone really asked you why you love the thing you love, and then just sat back and genuinely listened to the answer?
It's incredibly validating. We all crave that. And it works everywhere, even in a casual encounter, like running into a neighbor you barely know.
Oh, totally. Small talk that actually feels deep rather than just a chore.
Right. And the irony is, by stepping completely out of the spotlight, by actively refusing the urge to mention your intense Inca Trail experience, you become the most pleasant, memorable person they've met all night.
Because of the dopamine.
Exactly. They will go back to your partner later and say, wow, I really love them. We had such a deep connection. And they will feel that way entirely because you were interested, rather than trying to be interesting.
This all really circles back to that initial feeling we talked about at the very beginning of this deep dive.
Standing outside the door.
Yeah, standing at the threshold of that crowded room. Feeling the dread, feeling the heavy weight of needing to perform to justify your presence.
It does. Because the ultimate takeaway we can distill from all the behavioral science is that the immense pressure we feel in those moments, it's entirely self-imposed.
We're doing it to ourselves.
We absolutely are. We are walking into these rooms carrying this massive, heavy armor made out of our accomplishments, our witty anecdotes, and our defensive pride.
Thinking it will protect us from being judged or rejected.
Exactly.
But the armor is just getting in the way of an actual hug. It's blocking the very connection we were so desperately trying to make.
That is beautifully put. That is exactly right. So the next time you, the listener, walk into a room of unfamiliar faces, whether it's a terrifying industry networking event or just a casual dinner party with your partner's friends, we want you to try a little experiment.
Yes, an experiment.
Take a deep breath, feel the cold doorknob in your hand, and completely let go of the pressure to perform.
Just drop the armor.
Drop the armor. Remind yourself that you do not need to be the most interesting person in that room. In fact, the science says it is significantly better if you aren't.
So here is our specific challenge to you today. Think about your very next interaction.
Whoever it is.
Yeah, could be with a barista, a coworker in the break room, or a complete stranger at an event. What is one small, genuine question you can ask today that invites someone else to be the star of the conversation?
Just one question.
Just one question that clearly says to them, I see your value, tell me more.
It will take practice because our egos are loud and they desperately want to jump in and take the mic.
They really do.
But when you finally master the quiet art of being the audience, you actually become the director of the connection.
I love that. And before we go, I want to leave you with a slightly wild thought to mull over.
Oh, I'm ready.
We've spent this entire time talking about how to make others feel seen. But consider this. Memory isn't actually a recording of what was said. It's a recording of how we felt.
That is so true.
So if you spend your time making others feel fascinating, asking them why they love the trail or how they solved a complex problem, they will inevitably project that warmth right back onto you.
They'll remember you as being wonderful.
Exactly. By refusing the spotlight and choosing instead to be a lantern that highlights others, you might just become the brightest thing in the room. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll catch you next time.